Hey, good morning. I'm sorry I got in a conversation. We're a little late this morning on our redevelopment agency meeting. And so we're allowing our city clerk and our city manager to get to their seats and everybody come in, have a good time, and our marshals. Okay. The redevelopment agency meeting of May 21st, 2014 is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV, cable channel 2, and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. Please note some customers of Cox Communication who do not have a cable box may view this meeting on digital channel 89.5. The redevelopment agency meeting, as well as all other KCLV programming, may be viewed on the city's website at www.kclv.tv. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m., also on Friday. Interesting. What if our meeting runs into 8 p.m.? They'll continue to show it simultaneously? Okay. Anyway, the web, the Wednesday of the meeting at 8 p.m., also Friday at 4 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., the following Monday at 1 p.m. This building is protected by state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system. If alarms should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exit at the back of the chambers out to the mezzanine. Proceed down out the double doors to the terrace and down the back staircase. For anyone who has difficulty with stairs, please check with our marshal or fire official for assistance. Once outside, assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and First. Employees wearing safety vests or our city marshals will inform you when it's safe to re-enter the building. For public comment related items on the agenda, citizen participation, public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you may complete and submit to the city clerk. Cards are available online in the clerk's office or at the rear of these chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not preclude you from speaking under public comment, citizen participation, or specified public hearing items. If there's anyone present today who has need for hearing impaired equipment, please come forward and see our city clerk staff. If you parked in the garage across the street and did not receive a validation ticket as you entered chambers, please exit to your right and then see the security personnel at the entrance.
Mayor, I just received a message that Councilman Barlow is stuck on 95, so he'll probably miss the RDA and will join us for council.
Okay, thank you very much. We will move on to agenda item 3. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items. If anyone submitted a speaker card who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium and state your name for the record. We will set the time at a minute. Hearing and seeing none, thank you. I'll close this and we'll move on to agenda item 4. Discussion for possible action regarding a professional consulting agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency and FFM LLC DBA Faze Foley Warren for economic development marketing initiatives promoting Las Vegas. This is in reference to all wards. And Mr. Arndt, good morning, ladies. Mr. Arndt, the ball game's yours.
Good morning, members of the agency, mayor, and council. For the record, Bill Arndt, Director, Economic and Urban Development. This item is an annual retainer agreement with Faze Foley Warren. Our current contract expires next month. This past year, Faze Foley did an excellent job for us. 6 of their 7 goals that we assigned to them were met and actually exceeded our performance criteria. One of them related to PR for businesses. Also, they obtained publicity for 132 Las Vegas businesses. What we've done historically with Faze Foley, you may remember the Rediscover Downtown campaign and a lot of the things that we were doing. We've been doing this essentially on behalf of the downtown business community. And this current fiscal year essentially ends a 3-year public relations and marketing campaign, which we think was very effective. This upcoming year, we have new needs. We're getting more involved with recruiting businesses and helping our local businesses expand. We've hired a new manager to head up that effort. So we're looking to do a couple things with our new work. We're looking to do new video testimonials from local businesses on how it is to do business in the city. We're upgrading our business website, which will be for also, not only for the downtown community, but also for new and existing businesses looking to understand why it's a great place to do business. And so for that effort, we've worked for an agreement for 1 year of $150,000 not to exceed, which includes a monthly retainer of $7,500 and $60,000 line item for additional expenses. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Melissa Warren of Fess Foley Warren. Joining her is Nancy Higgins. Melissa's going to very briefly outline what was accomplished last year, but kind of highlight the differences for this new scope of work. It is a much reduced scope. Our retainer for last year was roughly double of what we're proposing to expend this upcoming year, so we're trying to be mindful of our budget resources, but make sure we get the work done that we need to get done. So with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Council. The first slide is
I'm going to ask you to say your name.
Oh,
for the
Melissa
record,
Warren,
please.
Managing Partner, Fess Foley Warren Public
Thank you.
Relations.
Nancy Higgins, Marketing Consultant.
Thank you.
The first slide is a side-by-side comparison of our current contract with the proposed contract so you can understand the differences in the scope of work. Under our current contract, which includes a significant public relations component, FFW has been actively pitching and securing media coverage for downtown. And that includes organizing familiarization tours for visiting media, both national and international. In the last few months alone, we've organized no less than 8 tours with 25 visiting journalists from all over the world. We work closely with the LBCDA and have become the go-to downtown PR firm as one point of contact to make it very easy to plan these downtown experiences to show off the vibrancy of the area. And we really do try to play with everyone who wants to play. We partner with all the hotels, restaurants, bars, entertainment venues to create a really comprehensive downtown experience with the goal of obtaining positive media coverage on a global scale. We planned, organized, and executed the twice-yearly Symphony Park Lecture Series, which, by the way, is going to go away. And we've been extremely active on social media, posting 365 days a year to Facebook and Twitter on all events, news, happenings about downtown. And we shoot, edit, and produce videos for use on the website, social media, and presentations. Hopefully most of you received Noteworthy, our monthly electronic newsletter, which has a subscriber base of 13,000 people. We're responsible for putting that whole thing together from start to finish. And we are also this year helping to launch, we're preparing to launch this summer, a new website, lvdowntown.com, which is a portal on all things downtown. The proposed contract, which Bill mentioned, is half of the previous, and it will include continued production of the monthly electronic newsletter, which is actually going to be expanded. We will assume management of the new website to research, gather information, write copy to ensure that the content is fresh and engaging, because as you know, that's the most important thing with the website, that it not remain stagnant. And we will be procuring video testimonials from businesses that have benefited from city's assistance and incentive programs, and these videos are used in the city's business recruitment efforts. Moving on to the next slide, we just want to recap for you briefly our achievements of the past year. We were involved in generating $4.6 million in earned media, which was 3 times our goal. And just so you understand, the PR industry values earned media at 3 times the value of paid media, which is advertising. But for these calculations, the city asked us to use the more conservative ad rate, which we did. And I also want to point out that downtown, as you know, is a huge generator of news. I mean, look at what comes out of Zappos and Downtown Project alone. That said, we are very, very careful when we run our reports to count only the coverage with which FFW has had influence or involvement in our number. And we've worked with such national media outlets as USA Today, Sunset, Forbes, Via, AAA Magazine, and more. And of course, we work with media regionally and nationally. And in fact, just last night, I sent information to Bloomberg News. They're in town covering the International Council of Shopping Centers. They're doing a story on the economic recovery of the city, and I wanted to make sure that they had good information on downtown. As Bill mentioned, we generated publicity for more than 130 businesses, and I want to point out that many of those businesses are too small to afford the services of a PR firm or to purchase expensive advertising. And we provided nearly $400,000 in added value services, such as getting the RJ to sponsor the special downtown section, the Capture Downtown photography competition. We secured multiple sponsorships to underwrite the Symphony Park lecture series. We get city hotels, restaurants, and bars to make in-kind donations of food and hospitality for all our visiting journalists. And beyond that, it includes additional time spent by FFW staff and Nancy Higgins above and beyond the retainer. And again, here I want to point out that it is FFW's business model that we do not charge for overages on a retainer. We believe that if we have an agreement with a client for a set fee, we will do the job regardless of how much time it takes. And I know that's contrary to what a lot of other law firms and professional firms, how they run their business. Moving on to our new proposed contract, again, just a quick snapshot. This is one of the pages that's under development right now for this really exciting lvdowntown.com portal, and you can see all the aspects that we're involved with on that particular project. Next up, we will continue to produce the monthly newsletter, and as I mentioned, it's actually going to expand, and it's going to premiere in June under a new name. And then finally, we are going to continue to actually gather even more video testimonials of businesses that have received benefit from the city's incentive and assistance programs. The image you see here is from the video we produced this year on tax increment financing. And if you're ever having a hard time going to sleep at night, you can watch that one. And finally, this is how the contract breaks down. Again, Bill's already alluded to this, but we want to be very transparent. $90,000 in fees is split evenly between Fest-Foley Warren and Nancy Higgins for all the items that we've already reviewed. And then we have hard costs of about $60,000, which include printing, graphic design, technical assistance on the website, search engine optimization, videography, and editing, and those costs are passed along to the city at no markup. Any questions?
Understanding, is this the conclusion? Yes. Anything you wanted to add, Ms. Higgins, to this?
No.
Okay.
You know what, I want to say that FFW has been a downtown agency since 1998. We moved into a little bungalow on 7th Street between Clark and Bonneville, and we have called downtown our home now for many, many years. It's been incredibly exciting to see all the changes down here. You know, we consider ourselves downtown pioneers. We live and breathe downtown, and we just are really, really excited and passionate about the work that we do for the city.
In cutting the budget in half and realizing our outstanding what we're doing here at the city with the social media, I could see that that was one piece that would be picked up by the city. But where was the lecture series a failure? And what about the other, when you go back to the slide that you have, that if you can push that one.
The first slide that shows the contrast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it personnel costs? Where are you going to take that out? Because what is concerned to me, having been at the Downtown Business Alliance meeting and with the passage of growth in fees paid by membership, the funds from that won't be coming in for at least a year. So it appears to me, but I haven't been involved in these meetings, that there's going to be a gap of a year. And depending upon what the cutbacks are, I mean, talking about your familiarization tours, do you have data response to the success of those? Can you make a comment on the lecture series? The social media I see, but where else in this 1 year's time gap, I'm wondering if that's too severe a cut when we're just coming out of this recession, that everything that we can do for public relations, marketing, advertising, we need to be on a positive push right now until the funding comes in from the Downtown Alliance, because I can see us wanting them to pick up more responsibility in this area.
Yeah, correct. The DLDA just recently voted to increase their dues and restructure their board. Their fiscal year starts in July, so some of that money will start rolling in this summer, but there's a lot up in the air still at this point because the steering committee, the way they've structured it, it's going to be a voluntary membership. So they don't have a clear picture yet how much money they're going to raise. And they have very specific goals as well. So it's very unclear as to what our role will be with the DLDA. Right now, we're not doing anything with them. To your other questions.
Excuse me for interrupting.
No problem.
Were you under I mean, I know the answer, but were you under contract with them?
We were through February.
Through February. So now this is sort of in a hiatus,
Correct.
and until they get their arms around it, we don't know what is going to pick up that part of the PR. So I'm wondering, and realizing just even that little bit that you said, are we a little bit premature in cutting the baby in half and leaving ourselves until they're fully serviced and have their personnel in place? Seeing very clearly, we do hang wherever Jennifer, are you here, Jennifer? Yes, she is. And our wonderful David Riggleman and his full staff. I mean, the social media aspect, that makes a great deal of sense. Huge cost saving.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, I mean, they're not going to be up and running really with the funds they have in. Can they hire people to fill in this hole? I think we're cutting too much out at this point until we get through at least 6 months more.
Mayor, thank you. I think you framed it up correctly. I'd really view this year as a transition year. It's a transition year for the Alliance, as you and Melissa indicated. It's a transition year for us, too. We've really expanded our offerings from our department, so we had to really prioritize what is most important today. And the PR is wonderful for promoting businesses in downtown, helping with consumer spending. But we believe that these three priorities, the business testimonial videos, the monthly newsletter, which has a tremendous reach, it's arguably one of the, has the largest distributions in the valley, one of the largest, if not the largest. And then a downtown and business portal. There's really no funnel for all things downtown. Other communities have this. We're really still doing a lot of this work to benefit downtown. And in other cities that are more mature and a little farther along on their redevelopment, revitalization efforts, the business community picks up these costs 100%. So we think this is a good scope. I think your intuition's correct too. We've had some really good discussions with David and his team about what they can pick up. Certainly the social media capabilities are there. Picking up some of the PR, certainly David's office is not a full-fledged PR firm. There's a lot of responsibilities that his office carries. So we are still going to do some public relations, but it's not going to be at the level that we had with a retainer with West Foley.
How about during the camp, this particular, I'm only worried about probably 6 months, maybe the full year, because of cutting it fully in half and losing. We have so many visitors coming in internationally as well as from around the country. And with these familiarization tours, which I have not taken, I'd be interested to do that. And not having the downtown campaign was terrific, I thought. Really they did a really good job. Until, and it should be the private sector that picks it up. I think it's just a little premature to cut it so severely other than because of the social media and the other aspects.
Yeah, the other thing, just from my perspective, I think it is a reduced scope. That's a fair representation of what we're presenting today, but I think it's also a change in tactics. As you know, we don't have a lot of construction cranes in downtown or the whole Las Vegas Valley. We do have a tremendous amount of business activity. There's a lot of interest in opening new businesses, the entrepreneurial business activity. So it's really kind of a change in tactics as much as it is a reduction in scope, where we're really trying to market not necessarily to developers and investors. Certainly that will be there, but it's really a change in tactics to market to the business community on why downtown and Las Vegas at large is a great place to do business. I believe this is the right business tactic for this year. We think we have a great partner in Fesfolium. Even with this reduced scope, we think we're going to see some tremendous results.
So, and as we go forward, perhaps with the stadium and needing, I mean, really to be tooting our horn down here until the Downtown Business Alliance can pick up their piece and move it privately, you don't think we are really making this too comprehensive? You're comfortable with 100, with what is allocated here?
I'm comfortable with the scope, given the added effort that David and his team has offered. Again, it's not a complete gap filler, but we think we're going to get a lot of value out of our social media. That's something that we've relied on Melissa, but now with David's capacities, we think we can shift a lot of that over to David's team. And then, again, it's really kind of shifting tactics. So it's a transition year, and I think if needed, we could certainly look at an expanded scope for the following year, but it's a change in tactics, and we're trying to be mindful of our budget.
In one second, both I know and Councilman Ross do. The only thing I'm saying is the following year is the one that hopefully the Downtown Business Alliance will have a hold. It's this transition year, and knowing the contacts at USA Today and these other additives that aren't going to be there for us, I just think this is a very critical time in this transition till they get that funding in. And I don't want to see, they're slammed. I know what they do, and I probably don't really know it, but I know enough of it to know they're slammed. I would hate to see us have to hire somebody additionally in his department, although maybe he has an application already, and for somebody, because they are so busy. I just want to get us through this transition year till the Downtown Business Alliance has a plan, know what they're putting in there, how they're going to be marketing, because if we don't continue to do the public relations that we need to do, which is person to person, I think we're going to really hurt ourselves. So I'm going to, if it's all right, Councilman Coffin, I'm going to go to Councilman Ross first, and then to you, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Arnott, I feel this likewise with the mayor. In fact, I think that their work that they've already accomplished has been, paramount at the success of what's happening for our economy. And I'm kind of looking at them as a little jobs machine over there, because to me it's about jobs. I think to all of us it's about jobs. And Bill, I understand what you're trying to do in changing the tactics, but I would feel more comfortable, and not to diminish anything from Mr. Riggleman's team, because he's got a great team over there to do what they do, but I'd certainly like to see, because of this transition and because of the way the alliance is transitioning also, I'd rather see them full bore at current contract levels and then see what this looks like in 6 months. And I'd rather see you in front of us next year when we know what the alliance is capable of doing, and maybe have them complement David's team throughout this process. I don't think this is enough. I think we've got a lot of momentum moving forward. A lot of new businesses, and I think perhaps your last statement about changing your tactics, I think you can still change tactics with the full force of what they can do in conjunction with our own internal team. So that's what I'd actually like to see, something like that than this reduction.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Coffin.
Thank you, Mayor. You've hit it on the head here. You're being polite to our staff, though, We've got great people working for our staff. On the firing line right there. Bill doesn't know whether to smile or scream. But I don't think this can work, and I'll tell you why, Bill. You need to have outside eyes. That's what PR is all about. In-house PR grows and grows and grows. But outside PR, being on contract, really means that somebody out there, for $1 we pay, and we know, is going to tell us the truth. It's very difficult for us to hear objective analysis of what's going on as the public views us if we're relying upon our own people. It's very difficult. They have a chain of command to go through. It isn't easy to deliver bad news. It is easy to deliver bad news if you've got your eyeballs outside the corporate structure. Many companies, the largest companies in this town, could afford PR staff. They have big PR staffs, but they use outside PR too, because they know they got to have a fail-safe system. And I think that we get that kind of thing from Festival of Warren, and that we would get it from, any other good PR agency. But really, we're going to be lacking that outside periscope, and I think we'd fly blind without it. I don't like this at all. I mean, we can reevaluate your proposal, but I don't want to vote for this today, Your Honor. I will not vote for that. No. Sorry I didn't spend some time with you before this meeting, Bill, so that I could have aired those grievances.
Thank you, Councilman. And Mayor, with your permission, if I could maybe offer a suggestion. Certainly an expanded scope is an option, but the other issue that I and my department are facing with the redevelopment agency budget is really choices at this point. We're having to balance a lot of different priorities within our group. So if we were to expand this scope from the redevelopment agency budget, it might mean that I'd have to reduce scope in another program, whether it be a visual improvement program, Quick Start, or one of those programs, unless there was outside funding from another fund outside my department. If it's the opinion of the council at large, we could certainly bring it back, but I may need to look to other funding sources to restore it to that full amount.
If I may, and we don't want you cutting back, and you've just done such a great job with your department, and we are moving along. Having watched things over the past 15 years during Oscar's tenure as well, we tend sometimes, only on occasion, but it does happen, that we'll move forward in an area and cut back, only finding that we have a hole, and then we go hire someone. And what it looks like to me, just looks like, and maybe because I have looked down here at our city manager who always has little things that she can do, what I see happening is this is a transition year, and I think it was articulately said there, and we wouldn't want to see, even though, although Mr. Eagleman may have already put in where he is at status quo for an additional person in his department. It would seem to me that this would get us through that year until the Downtown Business Alliance has itself together. I'd hate to see us have to hire someone to pick up some of this and then to get rid of, to release them after a year. I think that is very poor business practice. And maybe it's not the full grant. I think it's, an assessment. But I would like to ask maybe to our city manager to take a look at this for this transition, 6 months, a year, and then move into see how it works, because in a year's time, the Downtown Business Alliance may not have the membership and the funds coming in, because it's a giant jump, is what I understand the fee change has been. So that they have to digest that. Then there has to be a plan. Where are they going to be allocating? And I don't want to see the city of Las Vegas step back 1 minute in 1 sense from moving us forward in the eyes of the public worldwide, as well as certainly nationally, and most importantly in our region. So I'd like to ask, don't you have any hidden funds anyway?
No hidden funds. But let me make a suggestion. There are a couple of things you could do today. You could go forward and you could ask staff to reevaluate the scope. We could bring back an amendment in the future based on added responsibilities so that we don't lose momentum and these guys have what they need to keep moving forward. That's one option, and that might be the easiest thing to do today so that we don't have a gap. The other thing would be to just hold the item for 2 more weeks, which I'm not sure that gives us enough time to really work through what we've heard you say this morning. We're happy to do whatever you'd like, but if you went forward and you said, look at the scope and bring something back to us, as soon as you can evaluate the budgetary impact, the scope of work that's necessary, given the transition that you've described, Mayor. We're happy to do that, and I mean, we could do it within the next month easily to bring that back to you. It gives us a chance to kind of get this budget closed out too. You guys just approved the new budget yesterday. It would afford us a little time to look at an expanded scope, reevaluate priorities, and figure out what we can and can't do, Mayor, given the direction that I think I'm hearing you all say today.
Well, and I think, you know, listening to Mr. Arndt and knowing that department and what those needs are, I don't want to see a cutback there because we're trying to fix this piece. But I think it would really be wise in the discussion if at the right point, when you move forward to do that, you include the Downtown Business Alliance and, of course, be working, find out what are they going to allocate? How much money do they have an estimate that's going to come in July and August and September? And then, two, when and what is going to be picked up immediately by our PIO department? And so I think there's really, and I would hate to defer it, I'd like to see the conversation keep us going as we are, but moving once, unless you've already done that, and have that whole social media piece figured out, but for everything else.
Well, the simplest thing to accomplish what you just said, Mayor, would be to move forward with the agreement today and direct staff to bring back a reevaluation of the scope and identify potential funding sources to pay for it.
But go forward with the cut in half?
Go forward with what we've got today, so that's done and we don't lose any momentum. We will go back and reevaluate the scope based on the direction today and bring back an amendment to the agreement that we have today. Otherwise, you don't, what you've got before you is the amended scope, the scaled back version. What I hear you saying is that's not enough. So I'd rather not lose time with Foley Warren. Let's go forward with what we've got in front of you today, if that's the pleasure of the council, and we will bring back an amended scope that expands it at a future meeting once we've had time to sit down with them, with the PIO, with David Riggleman in the Communications Office, Downtown Alliance, and talk about who's doing what in the area that you all feel we're missing.
And if in fact we didn't approve this, then what happens? Today.
Well, if you don't approve it, I think our contract runs till June 1, June 30 or June 1? June 30. So that's what I'm saying. We could do a 2-week abeyance, but I'm not sure that affords us enough time to rework the scope and do all that work. It's the council's pleasure.
I just hate to vote something in when I'm not in favor of it, and I think that's a rubber stamp, and if all of us get hit by a Mack truck, the next group coming in says, oh, well, they approved this, cut the baby in half, and move forward. So I'd rather, but if you can't do it, you can't do it.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is if you say no to this because it's insufficient, and you vote it down, then the contract that Bill's negotiated with Foley Warren will be gone, and we'd have to start over on a new scope. I don't know how long that'll take, because there's a lot of things that are, in play right now that are creating a lot of demands on time. So what I was trying to do is just keep things going at this point and bring back an amended scope to you in the next month or so, so that you can see that expansion. If you're uncomfortable with that because you don't think we'll do it, then that's a different story. Then just vote it down and we'll start over.
Okay, I'm going to counsel Coffin, please. Mr. Councilman, your opinion.
Or strike it.
Well, I would say, first of all, we weren't briefed on the scope of this move today. I don't recall having a briefing in our weekly briefing that in fact this was going to happen. Because I guess with all the other things on our plate, this probably either slipped my mind or I forgot it, or I could have been told, but I didn't hear it framed the way it's been framed today. And I think that's more than I want to swallow today. Now, if we delay it a month, if we obey it for a month, city manager you would still keep the contract. You could keep it going on a pro forma. You have the authority to keep a contract going past expiration date, don't you, for a short period of time, pending analysis by the council as to the scope, the meaning of it? Because I'd rather see the contract kept going at the full bore for another month. Takes you into a new year, because the contract you say expires June 1.
I believe it may expire at the end of the fiscal year. Here's my suggestion. If you're uncomfortable that this doesn't go far enough, then maybe someone can make the motion to strike the item, and we'll bring another contract back to you at a later date.
Okay.
I
Really,
mean,
we don't need to
if
go
you're
through a whole
uncomfortable
bunch
with
of
that, then approve this, and we will
It's
commit to
professional
bringing an
services.
amended.
Can you negotiate that, professional services?
Yes, we can negotiate the professional services.
Your Honor, I move
So
to
you-
strike this item from the
Okay,
agenda.
and Councilman Ross?
Well, Councilman made a motion. I would actually support Ms. Fretwell's recommendation to go ahead and move forward with this. That way we don't slow down the momentum that's already created. And then when does their contract expire? At the end of this
What?
month?
End of June.
June 30.
I'd prefer to go ahead and move forward. You bring something else to us in a month or two.
I can't hear
To work
the-
with
I'm
Mr.
sorry, I can't hear
Riggman
the council.
and Face Foley. So that's what I prefer.
Well, you're in
Mayor?
opposition, because Councilman Coffin says he's ready to strike and bring it back after the process proceeds, and you're saying vote in today what we
I
have.
wanted to be clear that it probably will not happen in June, that this item would come back. It would probably be sometime this summer, and I'll just have to use my signature authority to extend the current contract until we can get something back to you.
And
Just to make sure everybody's comfortable with what we're going to do to plug the gap in the time until we can bring back a new
Yeah,
proposal.
not to drag this out, but I think you understand where we are. Certainly, Mr. Arndt is, Mr. Rugeman is, in regards to the importance of what's been going on. We don't want to lose that momentum. I certainly don't. And I see what Councilman Coffin's trying to do, but I'd prefer to go ahead and just approve this, and then you guys come back to us in a few months, because you're not going anywhere.
I'm happy, look, we'll bring you an amendment back that expands the scope. You know, we just need to coordinate so we're not paying them for things that somebody else is already doing, and making sure that we're being wise in what we negotiate. That's not done right now, so I'm uncomfortable, you know, committing to additional work here at the dais. I think we need to sit down and work through that, and that may take a little
I
bit of
would
time.
rather see you do that, and I can't vote for it in good faith, and I'm going to second on Councilman Coffin's, because I really think this is a critical time for Las Vegas. We have so much downtown that we're trying to achieve, and then with this change in the downtown business alliance, we don't want to lose that momentum, and so I don't know what the particularities are of having, picking up from July 1. I know there's a lot on your plate, and I hate to do it to you, but I just feel if I'm agreeing to this, in the eyes of anybody who's interested, here are the people that signed on cutting this contract in half because of these reasons. And so they may be the right reasons, and we may end up here once you have the dialogue with the Downtown Business Alliance. So I'm going to go ahead and second Councilman Coffin's motion here to strike this, bring it back, and when? Huh?
I would suggest July. I think it'll take us that amount of time to get the work done.
Okay, and it's not saying you're not incorrect. Maybe you are correct, but I just like that assurance because I just see too many balls in the air, too much blur. The one thing that's clear is Mr. Riegelman's staff already is doing social media, doing a great job. We have a lot of tentacles out there, so that piece moves. So that comes off the prior contract. That's an easy piece. What's the value of it? Take it out. And what are we left with?
We'll go back and renegotiate the contract.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, the one thing that's important here is it's not like the RDA has a ton of money. Like Bill mentioned, if we increase the budget here, we're going to have to cut on other areas of the RDA because I'm not going to support any general fund money going to a program like this. So we're going to have to cut Quick Start or something else. So I would rather approve the contract today, get these people running, and then maybe amend it sometime in the future. So I will not be supporting the motion.
Okay, and there's a motion, please, and I would echo what Mayor Pro Tem has said, which I said initially, we do not want to cut back in your department. Please.
I was just going to join in with Councilman Ross and Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you very much.
Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
He is joining with.
I was just saying, for the same reasons that they've elucidated, I'm going to be joining in on a no vote on this measure.
And the motion is the one made by
Councilman Coffin to strike.
To
and bring
strike,
it back
and then
in.
we'll get back. We are not going to stop anything, because if we go a little longer, we can do the month to month.
Correct.
So there will not be any interruption if we go the month to month. but it gives us a chance to look at this more thoroughly, because I wasn't briefed really extensively on this either, and I would like to be. I think there's more than just what we're doing now that's important. I think other types of publicity and public relations, things we get relating to downtown, need to be looked at very thoroughly. And so I will back your motion, Mr. Coffin.
Okay, there's a motion, and ask for the vote, please, and then please post. I would say we may end up right back where we are, and that's a possibility. I just, want to see it. Thank you. Okay, that motion fails, so now you want to make a motion, please.
I will move for approval of agenda item number 4.
Thank you. This motion, please vote. And please post. Okay, thank you. That motion carries. And so, but you still will be coming back to us, please. So thank you for all that you've been doing. We appreciate it, and hopefully you'll give as much input as you can to get this information back to us. Thank you. Thank you. We are now moving on to agenda item 5, RA 6-2014, discussion for possible action regarding a resolution finding the project proposed by the Quick Start Program, QSP, agreement between the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, RDA, and ProView Series LLC, owner, located at 10 East Charleston Boulevard, APM 16203-110-074, to be in compliance with and in furtherance of goals and objectives, the redevelopment plan, and authorizing the execution of the QSP agreement by the RDA Redevelopment Area Ward 3. Councilman Coffin, note this item is related to Council Item 54, R15-2014. Mr. Art.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is part of our Quick Start program. It is for a building at 10 East Charleston, as you see on the overhead. With us today is the owner of the property, Mr. Cameron Foulad, ProView Series LLC. The property is in the Arts District. It's just east of Main Street. It is a former upholstery shop that has been closed for a number of years. The owner is putting $311,000 into the exterior of the property, but over $375,000 into the interior. And this really highlights the purpose of the Quick Start program. We have a lot of older buildings in our downtown area, particularly in the Arts District. And the Quick Start program helps overcome some of the costs of renovating these buildings to bring them up to code and to put them into new reuse. The property is going to be converted to a brew pub style restaurant and small marketplace, and is anticipated to create 19 full-time and part-time jobs. And while I show the before photos and after photos, I'll turn it over to Mr. Foulad to explain his investment and what he's looking to do with the property.
Wow.
Good morning, Mayor. My name is Cameron, and Councilman and Councilwoman. My name is Cameron Foulad, manager of ProView Series LLC. 10 East Charleston is a 7,500 square feet rundown, vandalized, and neglected old building, which has been vacant for many years. And this is a very rare and unique building with arched boat trusses, which is not anymore in this area. Most of them has been demolished. The future tenant of this building is Galaxy Street Market, which is one-of-a-kind restaurant and brewery, microbrewery, with 150 seats and counter seating. Galaxy Street Market offers beer and wine with amazing cuisine such as handmade donuts, gourmet hamburgers, Chinese food, and dim sum, truffle honey-laced chicken, ricotta stuffed French toast, and sushi bar, and many other different type of food, which is total of 6 restaurants and 1 brewery.
I just want to tell the mayor that I think that we need to have samples so we can tell they're really that.
In the next meeting, we will. It's total of 6 restaurants with brewery. It's located in the heart of First Friday. And also is located between Main and Charleston on the casino center on Charleston. None of those buildings in that area has been renovated for many years. This will also encourages other owners in the area to do so. It brings jobs. We estimated close to 19 to 35 part-time and full-time. Generates tax, sales tax, property tax. It's close to Furniture Mart, which brings people to the area instead of after the events going to the strip, they would stay in this area. Also, other bars is opening in the same area, which complement this project. We need a restaurant such as this in the area, because many times I live in this area and I want to go to lunch or dinner with other people. And so I don't eat sushi. The other person doesn't eat hamburger. The other person eats salad. But this is like a fancy, gourmet, fast food court that would cater to all different tastes and needs.
I've asked Mr. Arndt if he could to put a map there so we could see specifically on Charleston where it sits. I saw the pictures.
Mayor, if I could get some assistance from the gentleman in the back, we can switch to the overhead.
And can we
It's on
blow it
the
up?
south side of Charleston, mid-block between Casino Center and Main, and if we could zoom in, you can, I think you should be able to see it.
And this is, okay, and that's Main on one side and,
A casino center on the other side. Also on the right-hand side where you see a rectangular red block, that is another of our project, which is going to be another bar.
and where, how do you get into the bar? Do you come in from Charleston, or do you have to come in the back
There is a
street?
valet that is located in the rear of the building, and we're going to use the parking lot, which is located at 1130 South Casino Center.
Can you point
which
to
is-
that, Mr. Hart? The parking, where their parking's going to be, please?
It's right here. This is the alley. That's where. This is where the valet going to be located, and this is the parking lot. So they're
Okay.
going to park here. This is also one of our projects, which is a mixed use. Apartments on the second floor, restaurant on the first floor.
And are they going to go simultaneously in development, or no?
Hopefully in the next agenda, next meeting, we're going to work on that project.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilman.
Your Honor, this is a great example of how we're fixing downtown. This is probably, I think there would be general agreement that if you pull up to the corner of Main and Charleston and you look to the right, you're looking at the most blighted, ugliest block in downtown. It really is horrible. But what's happened is the people who have moved into these old buildings have started painting them, and they've started redesigning, and with their own nickel too, by the way. Some cases they've gotten a little help from us in the RDA monies through the Quick Start and the VIP program. But by taking Galaxy, that's the linchpin to that block. It's right in the center, and if we can fix that, a lot of it's going to fall into place. And Mr. Foulad has been doing stuff downtown and on East Fremont that's remarkable, and he doesn't get any headlines. You know, everybody hears about Tony, But in fact, Comrade and his associates have done wondrous things under the radar, and this is one of them. The only complaint I ever heard, Kamran, was that maybe your architecture was going to be a little out of sync with the rest of the places, but I don't think Kamran heard me.
I'm listening, Your Honor.
Would you call me? Did you call me Your Honor?
Councilman Coffin.
Oh, thank you very much. It's truly an honor to be there. Seriously, Fun Run. Now, look, we want this, but I want to make sure that the architecture to the exterior on facing Charleston is roughly harmonious with what we've got, because people have been setting the style now from the old garbage look and the worn down look from the early 50s to the a modern, mid-modern kind of look. And so I want to make sure that the architecture on the front has some harmony with what's been going on with, frankly, the low-dollar investors next to you.
Do you have an exterior rendering? Wasn't that up there before? That's pretty.
The adjacent building is also for sale, and we may do the same thing to the next building.
Well, actually, that exterior doesn't look bad. I was thinking,
I think it's beautiful.
and I had heard there was too much glitz on the front on Charleston. But in fact,
It's very elegant
this is
and
nice.
very tastefully done.
Yeah, I like that. I'm sorry I
High-end
raised the
and it's
issue.
different.
The only other issue I was going to bring up for the council's edification is, and I'd have to ask Bill this question. You know, Bill, we changed the environmental code to not require a complete update on these old buildings because it's so expensive. But I noticed that part of the money being granted today is to help pay for HVAC upgrade. And also, the fire codes are being modified. How much of this is related to fire code issues that we have been trying to soften a little bit, not for safety, but for exterior food service and things like that? So how much of this grant is for those things?
Excellent question, Councilman, and I know looking forward for future Quick Start program grantees, we're working with our building department to try to take advantage of those recent code changes. The existing budget includes really a lot of different items. There's a list of roughly 15 items. A grease intercept. The HVAC replacement is for more energy efficient units. That's just under $36,000, so about 10% of the total. ADA restrooms, painting, replacing the flooring is a big expense. So a lot of the expenses really are just bringing an old building back to life. The only big ones, which I think are code issues, ADA, women's and men's restrooms, $29,000. Certainly the grease trap is a code issue. Fire sprinklers is a significant, that's $22,000, but it's really there's no huge one line item like we've seen in some other buildings. It's really kind of everything adding up to a significant expense.
Yes, all these upgrades, the mandated upgrades, they really add up to a back-breaking number for some people. Mr. Foulad's pretty well heeled, but he's got the ability to reach out beyond that and do it and see it to the conclusion. I think some people would just say, I can't afford it, and don't do anything. And that may be what happened before. I'm very happy with this project, though, Foulad. I really do. I think, Kamran, it's a good thing to have, and you've just saved a block. And what you're going to do on Casino Center there, I like. The idea of pulling into the alley and having your car valeted is great, because I used to ride my bicycle down that alley and steal things from the back of the stores if I could find it out there that they might have forgotten. So I'm very happy. That was a 10-year-old boy, though. I'm forgiven. Statute of limitations has expired a long time ago, but I don't know about this councilman here, and he's still young. Your Honor, if you're ready for a motion, I'll be happy to move
Your Honor, and
approval.
by the way, there are old thieves, too.
I have to tell you, I think it's absolutely lovely, and I'm delighted we see this again. I think we can't speak enough to how important our Quick Start program is, and as we move forward, looking for ways to keep it funded on a continuing basis, not just set a lump sum that we're going to have. Just when you mentioned the bathrooms and something else, that was $51,000. So it's beautiful.
Also, the fire sprinkler has to be upgraded, and the entire building is falling apart. So it's loss of a structural integrity that has to be put back to the building.
Yeah. It's just, it's critical that we find a way to fund in a continuum the Quick Start and VIP, but mostly the Quick Start because of those old buildings. So thank you. Councilman Coffin has made a motion.
But I'll make sure I made it correctly.
Clearly,
I
would you
do
please?
move to approve this item, 2014
Okay.
RA-6.
Thank you. There's a motion. Please vote, and please post.
Thank you.
So when can we come for dinner or lunch or breakfast? What's our date, our timeline?
We are starting next month, and it's going to be early next year, February or March of next year,
Okay.
before summer,
We hope it comes sooner.
which
Thank
is a
you.
good time for beer.
Thank you for all that you do. You may
Thank
be
you.
really investing with us, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Arndt. Okay, agenda item 6, citizen participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of Redevelopment Agency. No subject may be acted upon by the Redevelopment Agency unless that subject's on the agenda and scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Is there anyone wishing to speak under this portion of the agenda? You may come into that, Councilman.
Okay, then I'll step up to the mic. Mayor, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today in the audience with us are some wonderful students from South Continuation High School, and I would like for them to stand if they will. They are here as a part of their government service and to watch government in action. And so today we have one of the administrators from South Continuation, Ms. Janet Hurd. Janet, glad to have you. Thank you so very much. Glenn McKinnon. Glenn, thank you. Sean Lambert. I like that tie, Sean. Rafael Rizzo. Oh, everyone has on a bow tie now that I look at it. Just look, you all turn around, let everyone see all those nice and wonderful bow ties. Let's give them a round of applause. I guess that's the new fad now. What happened to the ties? Should I cut mine off? Wow. Ricky Rollins and Deshante McNeil. Do I have everyone covered? And who's the young lady standing to your left, Ms. Hurd? Okay, Ms. Warren. Okay, Ms. Warren, thank you all for being here. Let's give them a round of applause for coming. And in addition to that, we do have some signed agendas for each one of the students, here. Ms. Hurd, if you would just come forward real quick, if you don't mind, please. And the students, come stand with her at the microphone so you all can be televised as well. Ms. Warren, bring them, you all come on out, real quick.
Councilman Beers is just signing the last of them, so we have one for each of
Okay, you all can just come stand right in front of the podium.
Mr. Barlow, Councilman Barlow, we'd like to thank you for mentoring our young men on our campus for the last school year. We really appreciate your concern for our young men. This is the end of the year, and we'd like to give you a thank you and applaud, and thank you, gentlemen, for him doing that. Thank you very much, sir.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And are we done with the signatures?
They are now coming down.
Okay, then we'll make sure
We're
that
going to pass them
you
to
get-
our city clerk, and we'll give them right to you. Do I have any chips down here, Ms. Kaufman? Could you give them each a good luck, good health
you, Mayor.
chip from the city? We appreciate it. Thank you. And hearing no one else and seeing no one, we'll move on to agenda item 7. Agency member recognition. Comments made by individual agency members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the agency unless that subject is on the agenda scheduled for action. Is there any member of the Redevelopment Agency who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda? Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, this Redevelopment Agency is adjourned. We will start our